The salute to the flag. Please rise. Raise your left hand, or your right hand, excuse me, your right hand.
Here's to the flag.
The red, black, and green.
The red, black, and green.
Hopes in its future bright.
Hopes in its future bright.
Africa has seen.
Africa has seen.
Here's to the red of it.
Here's to the red of it.
Great nations shall know of it.
Great nations shall know of it.
In time to come.
In time to come.
Red blood shall flow of it.
Red blood shall flow of it.
Historians shall write of it.
Historians shall write of it.
This flag of mine.
This flag of mine.
Here's to the black of it.
Here's to the black of it.
400 million back of it.
400 million back of it.
Whose destiny depends on it.
Whose destiny depends on it.
The red, black, and green of it.
The red, black, and green of it.
Oh, flag of mine.
Oh, flag of mine.
Here's to the green of it.
Here's to the green of
The
it.
men and women shall dream of it.
The men and women shall dream of it.
Shots and shells for it.
Face shots and shells for
Maidens
it.
shall sing of it.
Maidens shall sing of it.
Waving so high.
Waving so high.
Here's to the whole of it.
Here's to the whole of it.
Colors bright and whole of it.
Colors bright and whole of it.
Pleased is my soul with it.
Pleased is my soul with it.
Regardless of what is told of it.
Regardless of what is told of it.
Thanks to God for giving it.
Thanks to God for giving it.
Great flag of mine.
Great flag of mine.
Raise your right hand again.
Raise that black fist.
Starting to cry. Lift every voice and sing to the heavenly. Bring with the harmony of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise as the listening sky. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that Christ has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Hasten the rising sun on the living God. Let us all shine till victory is won. Let us all shine till victory is
Black power!
Black power!
Black power!
Black power!
Black power!
Black power!
Peace. Peace. I now welcome Sister Ebony Davidson to the podium. Please welcome Sister Ebony Davidson.
Greetings. Black power.
Black
Power.
The power to define, defend, and develop what's in the best interest of Black people in urban America. Welcome to the T.O.M.A Nation's monthly worship service. We are an all-inclusive, Black conscious, righteous movement dedicated to the social, economic, and spiritual survival of Black people in urban America. If you enjoy what you see and hear today, the T.O.M.A Nation would like to extend our invitation to join us each and every Sunday from 12 to 3 p.m. at the Bob Biz Center, located at 644 East on 79th Street. Come and be fed by God's messengers. For more info on our Wednesday study classes, I would like to bring up our leader, teacher, and guide, Brother Minister Rahim Aton, who's going to introduce our speaker today.
name of the everlasting Father, he that causes all that exists to exist, he that is self-existent, he who directs the sunships of millions and trillions of years, he who made time, the seat of the universe. He's known among the ancient Kemites or Egyptians as Amun-Ra and Aton, among the Hebrews as Ansof, Yahweh, and Elohim, among the Christians as Lord, God, and Jehovah, among the Muslims as Allah, the one God, among the Rastafarians as Jah, Rastafari. I bear witness that all of those names refer to the same one Almighty God. And it is to him whom I give reverence and to whom I submit. I boldly proclaim that we are those children of the black men and women that survived the transatlantic slave trade, and that we are that lost 13 tribe born here in North America, and we are of a Nubian Kemetic lineage. I further proclaim that the blood of all the nations of the world flow through our veins. I greet you all today in the ancient but yet holy words of peace in the languages of our fathers of Hotep.
Hotep.
Shalom.
Shalom Aleichem.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam, sir.
Baragani. Alafia.
Alafia, good question.
And Ashe.
Ashe.
All greeting words and salutations of peace in the many different languages of our fathers. I welcome you in peace.
Peace.
I am Brother Minister Rahim Aton, founder of the T.O.M.A Nation, a.k.a. Temple of Mercy Association, along with the co-founder, Brother Minister Omari Jahiat, and our First Lady, Sister Aton. Today, as has always been with the Temple of Mercy Association, which is an all-inclusive, black conscious, yet righteous nation, dedicated to the upliftment of our people. As we've done in the past, we recognize the month of December as our month where we practice what we call Ramadan, given to us by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And in practicing Ramadan, it was not that we might be following the path or the pattern of the Muslims of the world, but more so that it was crafted to fit black people in North America who during the month of December went all out of their way to participate in a pagan holiday called Christmas. And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was saying that one of the methods to be used so that you might be helped in your non-participation of such a holiday would be the fast. During the daylight hours, not eating any solid food or drinking any kind of liquids during the daylight hours. And then when there's no more light in the sky, then you can eat. And that you should not watch television or be on the internet unless it was something that was positive, inspirational, spiritual, that you will be looking at on YouTube or some movie that has a deep meaning, and that you should read the Holy Quran in its entirety during the course of the day and the evening and when you have off time and whatnot, and that you should pray every morning at 5 a.m. And anything that looked like you were participating in this holiday, you should back away. Why is that so? Well, because we believe that if we are going to teach as a people to come out of her, and her meaning America, and her system and ways, that we got to work hard to show something in our actions that represent that we're coming out. If you don't have anything to show for it, you're just having a conversation. So one of the main things that you can show our brothers and sisters that we came out of her is by coming out of the practice of her holidays.
That's right.
That makes sense, don't it?
Yes, sir.
And we know that today they got so many ways dealing with our diet to make us eat things that we are not supposed to eat, that is foreign to our anatomy as a people, such as pork. And so we'll make an excuse and say, there's so many things got pork in it, we don't know if we eating pork or not. So we might as well not even worry about it. You'll hear people say that, right? Y'all hear all those excuses? But we're supposed to know in our heart that whatever knowledge we have of what is pork, you are supposed to not eat. And so you can't use the excuse that they call pork by a different name, and in some of the food, it might be some pork in it and all. If you go to somebody's house and something look like a big pig sitting on that plate, if you don't know that's pork, what's your excuse? If you're looking at that big old thing called ham, which is the bun of a pig, when I say bun, behind, glutinous maximus, that you're eating behind, then something wrong with you. If you don't smell that stuff that smells like sugar, honey, iced tea, and don't know that that's the passageway for all of the waste that comes out, and that you're eating rectum.
Rather keep my lunch.
I might as well say it like it is, right?
Yes, sir.
Then you'll find some people just going to heaven eating hog maws. Pig feet. Then they got a new name for the pig scrotums, call them mountain oysters. They ain't came off the mountain.
Out the valley.
There was more in the valley. So understand what we're saying. If you say come out of her, then all things that you are knowledgeable of, when you know that it is not right and that it's against the principle of nature itself and it's unnatural, then that's what we're talking about when we say come out of her. And you know what it is. So you can't make an excuse. Now you're not, nobody make you responsible for what you don't know. But when you do know, now you're responsible for it. See? And so we have to use that thing about the pagan holidays. But now a lot of people say, but you take us away from things and nobody replace it with anything. So what are you doing? You tell people, stop using drugs, what you going to replace it with? Stop selling drugs and loose squares, what you going to replace it with? How you going to supplement our income? Well, what we do in this movement, when we tell you come out of something, we do replace it with something. It might not be with a replacement you was expecting, or that you want, or that you may like, but we certainly do replace it with something. So what do we do about this month? Well, in the T.O.M.A nation, we say, take February, which is supposed to be so-called Black History Month, and if that's the month in where we recognize all the advancements that we made before we got here and when we've been here, then let that be our holiday for a whole month. And just take out some time like we do around the second week of February. We recognize our brothers and sisters in the movement for the accomplishments that they met or made. Certificates of appreciation, certificates of recognition. And then we say, if you want to give out gifts, then give out the gifts during Black History Month. Matter of fact, your children, we said, would be so happy on that day because we give out the gifts that normally they would get on Christmas, and now all the children who had their toys on Christmas, their toys is broke, and now they want to play with yours because you have some fresh toys in February. Then we tell our brothers and sisters to go shopping and shop black. There's a black store, toy store, around the corner here on like 83rd and Cottage Grove. 82nd and Cottage Grove. Don't shop for Christmas over there, shop for February over there. But do your shopping in January. That's all we're saying. And try to shop at a black-owned business as best that you can so we can circulate the dollars. There's nobody else gonna wake up that is of another hue that's gonna look for a black business to shop at this Christmas. You're not gonna wake up one day, and go to the black mall and see it predominantly with white people shopping in there. Or one day during the week it's gonna be full of Arabs. Or maybe Asians. That's not gonna happen. And if we want to stay in business as a people, and if we want to be even recognized as existing on the planet, we need to know just what Marcus Garvey said, and that they teach in every other ethnic group, and that is called race what? First. There's nothing wrong with that type of a thinking. And don't let nobody tell you it's racist, because there's no other group on this planet that don't practice race first, except who?
Black people.
We don't practice race first as a people. Now Africans do, and I guess we'll say, well, since they practicing it, then that's good. At least somebody practicing it. We can keep doing what we're doing over here. We are on the economic rock bottom right now because we won't practice that. And we're constantly going out of business. Do you know the business that's black that get the most business? Did y'all know what business that is in our neighborhood?
Yes, sir.
What is it?
Liquor store.
I'm talking that's black.
Hair.
Huh?
Hair salon.
That's black.
Hair salon.
Now you close.
Barbershop.
Barbershops, hair salons, and restaurants.
Oh, restaurants.
And restaurants. Restaurants, barbershops, beauty shops. Get the most business. Black business I'm talking about. I ain't talking about white. And now we got the Arabs moving in on those business.
What?
The barbershop business and the beauty hair, fixing hair. It's one right over here. Arabs that do our sisters' hair. Arabs that cut our brothers' hair. Arabs. And we just go right in and sit down and let them, do their thing. So we're losing until somebody wakes up. We're losing and we're being exterminated systematically and silently. Silently. And it constantly continues to get passed down as if nobody's really stopping it or trying to stop it. So somewhere, somehow, somewhere, some way, you got to find somebody, some group that is doing something to rebel against this system of things. And then representing the new world order that's supposed to be coming in. And that's why we say in the temple, the Nation of Islam should not be the only replica of what a nation or a kingdom of God should look like. It shouldn't be the only replica. And you shouldn't have to be part of a religion to build a nation or a community. It shouldn't be like that. We should have a choice. But right now, there is no choice because there aren't any others to that magnitude. But we have the ability to create one ourselves. I am not the speaker. I know people want to say he sure sound like he was, but I got really caught up. Because this month, that's all I keep seeing black people continue to do every year. It's like we do it blindly in our celebration. And it's sad because I already know there are a whole lot of celebrities who know the truth about Christmas. A lot of sports figures that know the truth about Christmas. A lot of people in our communities now, they know the truth.
Okay.
Christmas, 4th of July, and Easter is the main three ones that most of our people act like they cannot back away from. Don't we?
Don't forget.
We got Halloween.
It ain't as bad as the three I named. It ain't as bad as the three I named. It ain't as bad. On Easter, you see almost everybody. I mean, even the bums try to dress up on Easter. Yeah, they wear their best dirty outfit.
I need vision.
They dress up. Everybody dress up on this. I don't care who it is. You know. And Christmas, here we go, you know, it's everybody almost. 4th of July, pop, 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 pop. I go out on the front porch, I smell gunpowder and barbecue mixed together. What a mixture. Man. So when we say come out of her, we know that you can't come out of this system 100%. You know, I wouldn't tell you to be like a guy that I be seeing on Instagram called Nature Boy.
Oh, no.
I wouldn't tell you to be like him. You know, but when I say come out of her, that means whatever you see on the surface that our brothers and sisters are practicing that is against nature and things that are natural, or against the creator or the creative force, or against what the great mind has set in motion, anything that's against that, that's on the surface. When I say on the surface, that means you can see it plainly. And you know it to be against God, for the lack of another word, then you should rebel against it. And let the people see you rebelling against it. Fathers, mothers, let your children see you rebelling against it. Teach them to rebel against it. Now I'll go to the next one. I think it's coming to me like that, so I better do it. Teach them to rebel against you if they see you go against it. I was trying to hold that one back. But it was pushing this way out. I had to say it. Yeah, somebody need to pull the parents' coattail too when they wrong. If it's going to be a kingdom of righteousness or a kingdom of God or whatever you want to call it to come in, it has to be ushered in by the people. It's not going to be a hocus pocus thing. It's not going to be all of a sudden you're going to wake up and we in the kingdom of heaven. That's not going to happen. And then ain't nobody going to come and save us. I know now I'm finna get in trouble because of Jesus being born. They say this much, which we know it wasn't. Ain't nobody going to save us. And just to prove it, if you want to use Jesus, Jesus was a black man, so that still means we got to save ourselves. So it still meets my point. We got to save ourselves. And how do I know? Because even if you want to use Jesus, he said, go not in the way of the Samaritans or the Gentiles. He said, but first, find the lost sheep of the house of Israel. He was saying his people. His people. Again, if we're going to save ourselves, it's going to be us. And stop believing and trusting in some other ethnic group or nationality that come and try to convince you that they truly, truly interested in you gaining back your rightful position on this planet. I don't think there's another ethnic group on the planet who want to be in a servitude position to help somebody else get up there so they can boss them. What you think? Nobody in their right mind. So stop when you see them smiling in your face and all the time they want to take your place. The backstabbers.
All right, OJs.
Yes, sir.
I'm just telling it like it is. And so in this movement, we believe and know, and it's not part of the 13 points, but you can add it to in your mind, that the survival of a nation, the survival of a movement, the survival of an organization is broken down to two things. One is recruitment, membership. The other one is young people, the youth. If there are no young people or any youth in your movement is dead. Already. If you have a movement full of elders, nothing but elders, they're going to die out one by one with no replacements. I don't say it just to say it. When I came into the Masonic order, they sent me to a lodge of elders. I was 27 or 28 years old or young. And everyone in that lodge was about 65, 70 and up. And there was like about 6 of them left. Well, somebody had the idea that if they were going to survive, that they needed youth. So they placed me there, and I had the privilege to be able to do all of their funerals. It's only one of them still alive from that lodge. And he's almost 90 now. He's 87 right now. Named Sam Wilson. But there would be no Franklin today if they would not have thought to bring and train up a young person in the way that they should go so that that lodge could continue today. It would not be here at all. And so that's what we do in this movement. We train our young people to take our place. And I would advise every movement to do that. Train young people to take your place. Teach them in the way that they should go. Plant the seed that they might understand, that they may not understand it now, but it will begin to sprout as they grow up, as they develop. And so, when we talk about the birth of Yahshua, we talk about the birth of one being sent into the world. According to Brother Will, in the words that he liked to use, calibrated. To be able to see a people oppressed around him. Deep down in his heart, feeling that he must address this situation. Could not just adjust to the situation. Oh, did y'all hear what I just said?
Yes.
Most of us are born into the world and we start adjusting right away. But one sent by the creative force to this world come to address, not to adjust. Isn't that deep? And in the book it says like this, and I'm going to call them up after this. For unto us a child is born, a son is given, and the government will be on his shoulder. They will call him Wonderful, Counselor, the Mighty God. There's some more to it, but I'm going to leave it like that. And I'm going to say one more scripture so you can understand that it could be either one of you. It could be Yahshua. It could be Khalil. It could be India. It could be Deontay. I will raise up one from among you, he said. From among you. Like unto yourself. That means he's going to be from among you. He's going to be just like you, or she's going to be just like you. And I'll put my words in his mouth. I bring to you none other than one you've heard all of this year, that you're about to hear from right now. Young man coming up, sent to us by God. A few others of you all will be gracing this podium real soon. But right about now, we're going to listen to our brother Tahaka J. Shakur. Give it up now.
Original salute.
Black power.
Original salute.
Black power.
Original salute.
Black power.
That's strong. That was strong. That was real strong. And as the minister mentioned, black power is only the power to define, develop, and defend that which is in the best interest of black people. In the name of the everlasting Father, he that causes all that exists to exist, he that is self-existent, he who directs the sunships of millions and billions of years, and he who made time, the seed of the universe, known among the ancient Kemites as Amun-Ra and Aton, among the Hebrews as Ansaf, Yahweh, and Elohim, among the Christians as Lord, God, and Jehovah, among the Muslims and Islamic faith as Allah, the one God, Among the Rastafarians is Ja, Rastafari. Among the Western African tribes, the West African Yoruba tribe, as Odumare. I bear witness that all of these names refer to the same one Almighty God, and it is to him who I give reverence and submit. I boldly proclaim that we are the descendants of those black men and women who survived the transatlantic slave trade, are the 13th tribe born here in North America and are of a Nubian Kemetic lineage. I further proclaim that the blood of all the nations of the world flow through our veins. I greet you in the words of peace of our ancestors as Hotep.
Hotep.
Shalom.
Shalom alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam, sir.
Habaragani.
Habaragani.
Alafia.
Alafia Duque.
And Ashe.
Ashe.
Again, I am Brother Taharka J. Shakur. If you've seen me lecture before, you know that J is interchangeable between Jaja and Justice. I think I was Justice last time I spoke. So I'm Justice today. And just quickly, while I switch between the Jaja and Justice, it's more of a internal battle I have continually going on in myself of if I should just be that gift from God or be the justice of God, or just be one and the same and just be the gift of justice from God. So that's why the J is interchangeable. But today, as the minister talked about real quickly, he talked about coming out of her. And more specifically, as we come, how many days are we away from that holiday? 2 days away from what the world calls Christmas. I was in an Uber yesterday, and I was talking to the Uber driver, and I asked her what she was doing for the holiday. When I mention holiday, I talk about Kwanzaa. And she was like, oh, I'm not really celebrating Christmas. I'm going to be working for Christmas. I say, interesting. I start telling a story about how I feel about Christmas, right? So when I was young and I used to hear about an old white man coming down your chimney, having a list of the things that you did, and he's always watching. When I was young, I thought that was a pedophile. I thought they was celebrating a pedophile coming into our hoods, coming down our chimney, watching our children while they sleeping. How does he know when you're awake or not if he's not peeping through your window? Right? That's what it made. That's what I like. And I used to ask my mother. I say, why do we talk so much about this white man raping? He wasn't raping our children, but peeping our children. You know what I'm saying? And then some of the stories talk about the Krampus character that also was kind of made up off the same Christmas story and what he used to do to children, snatching them up and putting them in his bag and carrying them off. Why would we as a people want to attach to something like that? A lot of the holidays that we attach to, they got very dark histories to them. And we as a people, we celebrate those dark histories, but never really realizing them. I like something that one of the things that we do in Chicago, and it's the Bud Billiken Parade. The Bud Billiken Parade, I think that was a little Irish demon, a Chinese little demon, but we celebrate it every year, and it's one of the biggest parades that we as black people go to. We seem to celebrate a lot of dark things that evil. That's a good way to say it. We just like to celebrate evil things, and even if we just think about Satan Claus or Santa Claus or that whole figure in and of himself, let's look at how our parents lie to their children and what that does for them. I personally see that we lose respect for our parents and give all reverence to Satan or Santa Claus when it comes to this time of year. You talk about your parents, they might struggle. You know, they working 3 jobs to take care of you. And you, as a child, ask, when is Santa Claus coming? And you tell him, oh, he gonna come on the 25th. And then you go in your room and cry because you don't know how you gonna give your child a Christmas. Rather than saying, ain't no such thing as Santa Claus, I'm Santa Claus. I'm buying all these gifts, but our children now have this figment of their imagination in their head that's delivering gifts to them. Like we tell them about the Tooth Fairy. Like, We make all these fake entities up for them to give more reverence to. I personally believe if my child lost a tooth, I don't have a child, when I have a child, if they lost a tooth, I'm not about to tell them no tooth fairy's gonna come and put $1 under their pillow. I'm gonna say, give me that tooth, I'm gonna give you $1. Go tell your friends the tooth fairy don't exist, I gave you the $1. Right? Because we as adults, and as the minister said, we should be doing the things to take them ideologies out of our children's head and really separate ourselves from this world. Because when we give into that, when we give into these holidays, these mythologies like the bunny that has eggs, that in itself don't make sense. A bunny that lays eggs, and then attach it to the day that Jesus so-called came out of the grave and rose again. So one thing, you disrespecting that character who they say rose on the third day with putting a bunny that lays eggs out there. So now you give him more reverence and care more about the Easter egg hunt than Jesus being born. Well, born again. You give more reverence about I'm going Easter egg hunt. You dressed up to go to parties, not to celebrate the life of Jesus, like we think we celebrate when Christmas time comes, but to celebrate this bunny that lays eggs. Again, stop telling your children that it was a bunny that put them eggs out there for them to find, and literally tell them you went to the grocery store, that you went to go get an Easter egg basket. There ain't no bunny leave that stuff for them. That's almost as silly as telling children storks delivered babies. But we understand the bunny laying eggs. But my lecture is not so much about talking about Christmas or talking about all these Hallmark holidays that we tend to give into, from Valentine's Day to Easter, to all the ones, to Mother's Day, to Father's Day, to all these days that they tell us. Halloween is a really good one because we just put so much money into candy and sugar, when sugar is the #1 killer in our. But we're not going to go there. Because I want to talk about when we claim something for ourselves and how much more powerful that is, and how we really need to take that more to the next level. So, I can't remember the year. I should have Googled the year. I should have wrote that down. That Kwanzaa was started. We're going to say in the 1960s. One or two. When it was started, it was to really empower us as a people and get us to be more culturally defined and developed and united as a people. But it was only for those 7 days. I don't understand that. We as a people have to get past just celebrating for the moment. I personally don't have a thing against Thanksgiving in the essence of our family coming together. It's a problem for me that we only come together at that time. We come together Thanksgiving time and Christmas, but the rest of the year, we don't see our family members. You might have a first cousin that you only see on the holiday season. It has to be this time of the year for us to come together as a family. And I'm sure I lectured about it before, about if we want to unify our people, we got to unify our families first. So there used to be a time as we as a people, we used to have Sunday dinner. Where everybody in the family, first cousin, second cousin, if you was related to Big Mama, you was coming to a house that Sunday, and you was eating and coming together as a family. We lost that as a people. That was something that was beautiful. It kept a sense of family. If there was family problems or arguments or just big disputes, or there was a family business that was ran, the conversations would happen that Sunday at that table. And we talk about black people when they had those dinners really moving up. A lot of shows was even based off of that round table of family members. Where did that go? It seems that the more we got caught up in these hallmark holidays, our family values dissipated. The more we look at Kwanzaa being a beautiful holiday, because just the first principle, and we go into the first fruits later, but just the first principle, and in some understandings, it's the most important law in the universe, which is umoja, which means unity.
Unity.
When we talk about what unity really looks like, it is hard for us as a people to fathom. Because even when you go to just religion and these different religious understandings, they can't sit in the same room with each other sometimes. Because one say Allah, one say Jah Rastafari, one might say Eshu, Obatala, whatever name you might call it. When we can't sit in the same room with each other. That in itself is one of the biggest disunifiers of our people when we talk about religion. But when you can look at your brother as your brother first, and no matter what the uniqueness that he worships, what he deems to be his creator, as we have that as a point in our temple, that we accept people no matter what the uniqueness of how they worship the creator. What that really does for us uniting as a people, we got one of our biggest distractions out of the way. Because I can see you for you, and the you and me makes it so much simpler for us to have unity. But what does unity really do for our people? Right? In the Bible, there's a story about a tower. And all the people spoke the same language. They really worked together. They built the tower so high that it got God's attention. Imagine if we united as a people. We feel as if God, the Creator, got away from us. But what if we united and did something similar to building that tower that reached the skies and God was like, what y'all doing? Imagine if we did that positively and did that righteously and just united to build his kingdom, not a tower to say we better than you, but a kingdom to say we serve you. What would that look like? What power would that have if we just united like that? And then the second principle, Kuji Chakalia, self-determination. We as a people, and I love that I'm in a play called Bootstraps, because in Bootstraps, it's that term, pulling yourself up by the bootstraps. It's self-determination all within itself. We have all the necessary resources we need as a people. That if we truly united, because we got to unite first to use these resources, we can pull ourselves up from the bootstraps. Literally, just look at Chicago alone, then let's circle in and look at 79th Street and the resources that are here with the Black Mall, with the Haji Hillah Salon, with the Bach Business Center, with the different restaurants that here, with the different people in the community. We got the people to really change it, but we can't unify for some reason. But if we was self-determined and actually understood what self-determination really looked like and how that can really thrust us forward, and we change from the crabs in the barrel mentality to it takes a village mentality, what could we do as a people to get ourselves off the economic bottom? Because then it goes again into, we talk about unity and self-determination, and I just mentioned we have to work collectively, and it's our responsibility to work collectively, so we're looking at Ujima. And so when we're looking at that, and again we have to talk about, there's a lot of work to be done. And I love something that Ro Davis says, with all the work that needs to be done in our community, there's no reason that anybody is out of work. Because there's so much work that we have to do. And if we don't see our communities as our responsibility, we can go downtown, we can go up north, we can go to Bronzeville. We didn't do that work in Bronzeville, but we feel responsible for it when somebody else do it. Now we got to make it keep looking nice. It took them to gentrify Hyde Park for us to really care about it over the last 30 years. Look at Lincoln Park. I worked in Lincoln Park for a long time, for about 3 to 4 years. And in those 3 to 4 years, it went from Whole Foods being the only building in that community to it being a whole shopping district in that block. Because they feel like their community is their responsibility. So imagine if we felt like 79th Street was our responsibility, that Inglewood was our responsibility, because they're gentrifying that now, and we're going to be super happy when it starts looking nice. And it seems like Whole Foods do something when a Whole Foods gets there. They bring in Starbucks, LA Fitness, and you look up 5 years later, ain't no black people around there no more. So we gotta watch that. And when I was working for Whole Foods and they mentioned that they was gonna build a Whole Foods in Inglewood, I said, why? Why would y'all do something like that? They say, oh, the price is gonna be lower because the regional came and brought it to us. And I say, why would y'all do that? They said, well, the prices are gonna be lower. More funny than anything, they actually take the groceries from the other stores when they get a little old and take them to that store. That's why the prices are a little lower there, because it's the food that's almost, right, that's past the use-by date. They just change the use-by date and ship it over to Inglewood. Little tidbits. Mm-hmm. But when we look at that, and we're so happy that they did that for our communities. I remember talking about elections, talking about self-gentrification, and that we need to start self-gentrifying, and we being so what's the word I want to use? Disgusted by the word gentrification as a people. And we was disgusted by the word nigger for a while as a people, but now we have accepted that word as a people, and we use it in some ways to glorify each other. Now, why can't we use gentrification the same way? Why can't I say, man, I'm about to gentrify my neighborhood, and people won't look at me like I sold out? Why can't that happen? I believe it can happen. Because when we make sure it's our responsibility and take it as our responsibility, then everybody will be like, well, let's gentrify our neighborhoods. Because again, just by definition, gentrifying is just making something more beautiful. It's just really making it more beautiful. So it's the definition of the word in itself is not bad. What, let's say, the powers in Chicago that be and in any other major city that gentrify black neighborhoods, they make it gives us a negative stigma. And we don't want to gentrify. We like our neighborhoods looking like this because that means we can stay there. If they continually look like this, the violence is really, really high, the drug dealer is still on the corner, we can live there. Even though we hate living there. We hate not being able to fall asleep at night because there's gunshots happening every day. We hate not being able to see our children play out in the street because you're worried that somebody gonna come do a drive-by. I remember when I lived out west and I was really, really young and they had a thing called a block party. And the whole block came out and it was a very glorious occasion. I remember it was a bicycle, tricycle and trying to raise the big kids and dusting me and me being on my little bicycle. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of children who won't ever have that memory because our blocks and our neighborhoods have become so gang-ridden, so violence-ridden, so police killing us ridden, that they can't have fun like that anymore because we don't see it as our responsibility. And I'm really standing on this one because we need to take the responsibility as a people and see this as our problem. Something in the play, there's a song that is sung in the middle of the play in Bootstraps, and it talks about who's to blame. And the character that I'm in the scene with talks about sometimes we need to take some of that blame. That we keep pointing the finger at everybody else and being like, well, the white man did this to us. The Arab's selling this in our community. Wait a second. If the Arab's selling it in our community, what if we just stop shopping there? Amen. How are we blaming them when we go shop there? We worry about the white man's taxes and the things he built and the stuff that he put on TV and the negative campaigns. I'm sorry, you was watching TV and you seen a commercial. What if you wasn't watching TV? What if you wasn't watching their channels? What if you wasn't on YouTube? How are we blaming them when we're the blame? We don't take the responsibility on ourselves to change anything for our people. We want our children, we want our community, bump that, we want our community to stop celebrating these holidays, but How often are we having a conversation with the people in our communities? How often are we having a conversation with the children? Because we know the children are going to go home and challenge their parents and be like, well, I heard this. And the parent going to be like, where did you hear that from? But mama, I heard this. This don't make sense to me no more. Why are you telling me there's a Santa Claus when you buying the gifts? They going to challenge their parents. But we have to challenge them. We don't see that. I remember in TLC we was talking about it in one of the meetings about it seemed like the TLC meetings was turning into church. That every Sunday, every whatever day it was of the week, it was the same people in the room getting the same message. That's a problem. Even in the church, it is impossible that we talk about our community needs to help from we're going to say the spiritual community, because I don't even want to cause any problem. Our people need the spiritual community now. But the spiritual community can't unite and come together to deliver that message to them because they don't think it's their responsibility. Well, my church is in this community, but it's not my responsibility. I remember somebody told me a story about how it was a brother sitting on the porch one day, and he just was watching the people come to church in his community. And he asked the pastor one day, did he know the eldest lady on the block? And he said, no, that don't make sense. How are you, this church that's been there for like 5 years, this woman lived on this block her whole entire life, but you don't know the people inside of your community. How is that big old Charles John Hannah building a church down the street from here? I wonder how many people that go to that church live in that community that will be affected by that building and that edifice being built up over there. We don't think about that too much as a people. We let these churches, we let these Arabs all come into our community and we blame them for coming. But we let them come. We let them come in, we let them do what they do, we let them drive their nice cars into our community, we let them talk about our women the way they want to, we let them disrespect our men. We see what the Asians do to us. They might not have done it too much in Chicago that we know of. But it happens in other cities where the Asians are just brutalizing our women, hitting our women. But we blame them. No, I blame the men that stood around and recorded that. That's who to blame. Even if she was in the wrong or not, we as a people have to understand that it is our problem. That if there's a person in our community that acts a certain way, we have to deal with them. It's not your right to put your hand on our women. And we have to, as men, have to be okay with that and accept that responsibility. Then we go to Ujima. And I love Ujima because that's just cooperative economics. So once we understand that we have to unite, then we have to be self-determinant. And I personally believe that the 7 principles should go the other way around. And I'll explain that at the end why I believe they should go the other way around, because we should have faith first, that we can be united. And before I go into that, I talk about cooperative economics. Real quickly, because if anything's are going to happen, we got to pull our resources. We as a people have to be able to sit at the table and realize that it's not for me. It might not even be for my children. It might be for my great-great-grandchildren that's going to benefit from us pulling our resources together, because it's bigger than us.
That's right.
We want to be around for a while. You might not you personally, but our people, the black race, we want to get off the economic bottom. If we don't pull our resources today, we're going to want them to do it. We're going to talk about we wasn't able to do it. We couldn't get ourselves together. We didn't see that it was a purpose for it. But just imagine, there are a few millionaires that live up the street in Peel Hill. That's technically up the street. You got a few millionaires that live in South Shore. You got a few millionaires that live in Hyde Park. You got a few millionaires that live in Inglewood. What if they pulled their resources? What if they sat at the table and was like, okay, let's gentrify our own neighborhood. Let's cooperatively come together and do economics in our community. Roland was trying to raise money to get buildings, to get this economic grant fund that you had to put the money up front first and then they'd give you the money back. What if we just pulled our resources and be like, you know what, we don't even need the grant. We'll do it. We got the resources in our community. We have it, but what are they holding on to it for? Why Why have we become so European in our mindset when it comes to money? Then you gotta have a purpose. See, that's now, you see why I'm gonna say why they need to go the other way. Because you have to, with Nia, you have to understand that what is the purpose of you doing it? Again, I say, we're pulling our resources because it's for the future generations to have a life. You understand what I'm saying? So it is our purpose to build our community, to take responsibility of our community, to be self-determined to build our community, and to have unity, because our purpose is so our future generations don't have to deal with whatever we deal with. Our ancestors didn't want us to go through slavery, so what did they do? They fought to get us out of slavery. 400 years ago, they was in slavery. They made sure that they wasn't in slavery no more. Whatever stories they tell us about slavery, we understood our people fought to get out of that. Because they didn't want their future generations to be slaves anymore. Then it didn't work in our favor as much, but we integrated. They didn't want our people to, let's say, be displaced as they was. But it might didn't work now as we see it. But they fought for us to have them kind of opportunities to kind of be in America. So now we see where we are at today. What are we going to fight for so our future generations don't have to deal with it? And then you got to have creativity, which is T.O.M.A, and just using that God-given talent of being creative, because that comes from the God mind. No matter how you figure your creativity comes from a source outside of yourself. We talk about inspiration. You wasn't inspired. Something inspired you. That's that creative force. If you are not tapping into that to go forward, how if you are not creative, you can't move forward. You have to be able to see this block and see it as something different. You have to be able to imagine that black people can get off the bottom, that our children will be able to play in the streets again. Why don't we have double dutch competitions anymore? Because children don't know how to play double dutch no more because they can't go out in the streets and do it. That was a beautiful thing that my sisters was able to do when they was younger. That some of my older siblings, my cousins and my mama and them did when they was younger. But how many children know how to play double dutch today? How many people can go to a basketball court and not get shot at for mistaken identity? Because we're not creative to see our communities not like that. But then we gotta have faith. But then I'm gonna explain why it should be the other way. Because as a people, we gotta have faith first. Then first we have to have faith that, again, no matter whatever you call the Creator, that the Creator got your back. When I was in that incident, I had faith that I wasn't gonna die. Because I knew who God was. And I'm like, well, I got faith. I don't believe, I have faith, right? And I have faith that our black people can get off the bottom. I have faith that we can take our rightful place back on planet Earth because we started first. We were here first, so why can't we take our rightful place back on planet Earth again? The Creator gave us this Earth. Why would we not be able to get it back with Him? I have faith that my Creator is stronger than my oppressor. Because if He wasn't, we wouldn't be so resilient as a people. Right. When they brought us on the ships, we might have died off if our Creator didn't make us resilient as a people. If our Creator wasn't stronger than our oppressor, because we're still here.
That's right.
We survived the transatlantic slave trade. We understand, yes, Kemet fell. Yes, our great empires fell, but we're still here, which means they can rise again. But we gotta have faith that they can. And then we have to, again, because they blatantly erased our history, so we have to be creative of who we were so we can create who we gonna be. We have to be creative. And then again, we have to see that it is our purpose to do it. That if we don't do it, who else? We keep talking about that they, we the they. We can't wait for somebody else to do it anymore. The time for that is over. We can't keep looking for sky daddies, as some people like to call them, to come down or send somebody to save us as a people, and somebody gonna come down from the sky all holy and shiny and just bright and snap his finger like Thanos did, and our problems are just gonna disappear. I'm sorry, that ain't happening, because it's our purpose to do it. We were sent here. We have to feel that. We have to understand that it is up to us to make it go forward. And we have to cooperate with each other. We have to pull our resources together, because if we don't pull our resources together, how else will we be able to change our community? Because it's our responsibility. to work together. It is nobody else's responsibility to do what black people needed to do for black people. It is not the Asians' responsibility. It is not the Arabs' responsibility. It's not the Jews' responsibility. It's not the white man's responsibility to do what we can do if we collectively work together. But we have to be determined in it. We have to be so determined and understand who we are as ourselves that we don't want nobody else to do it for us. Because somebody else has been trying to do it for us all this time. We got to tell the white man, hey, white man, I don't need your money. Hey, white man, I don't want you to sit at my table. Hey, white man, go back to your community. I got this. When we as a people understand that, hey, Arab, yeah, stop selling cigarettes in my community. If somebody gonna sell cigarettes, even though it's a bad thing, we gonna sell them. Because they don't need to be profiting off of us like that. Those are our problems. Once we get the Arab out, then we deal with us killing ourselves. But we gotta deal with them first. So we can be determined ourselves. If we're gonna kill ourselves, let us kill ourselves. You get what I'm saying? If we're going to poison ourselves and eat all this sugar, let us produce the sugar. God darn it, but let us be determined to do it instead. Let us do it for self. And then we can have unity. Because we have faith that we want a different community. We're creative to see what it really is. We have that imagination. I love the imagination of children because they can see it. They come to this world, and I believe that, and we joke about it sometimes, they come speaking the language of the gods, that goo goo gaga, because they can talk to everybody. Babies understand each other. I don't get it, but they do. You sit 10 different babies from all over the world in the same room, they're going to communicate with each other. They're going to understand what each other is saying. That's a whole nother. But they can imagine a world that we can't even fathom. So we have to tap back into who we were as children and be purposeful in doing it. Because it is our responsibility. Because if we don't see that, if we can't see that as a people, we got a whole nother 100 years of being in this situation. That if we don't take up the mantle today, if we don't do what we have to do now, it is going to fall on our great-great-grandchildren, and they're going to have a whole new world that they're going to have to deal with, because Trump ain't playing. The WASP ain't playing. The Jews ain't playing. The 13 ruling families, and I'm not going to name a few of them, ain't playing with us. They're trying to push Satan, ain't playing with us. Because I believe Christians forget that God, in his wisdom, gave Satan rule over earth for us to deal with him. I personally believe that he created him for us to deal with. He might just be the most negative version of ourselves. So again, if the white man is his children, we got to deal with them. He made us for us to deal with them. If we have to deal with it, they're not going to deal with themselves. That's like asking Satan to be holy again. Satan, just go back to heaven and be an angel. God ain't going to allow it. So we shouldn't allow it. We as a people should not allow it. And that is why, again, with those 7 principles, we can't just utilize those 7 principles just during Kwanzaa. Those 7 principles have to be used every second, every minute, every hour, every day, every month. Bump this Gregorian calendar. These 12 months, they shouldn't exist to us no more. We should just have days and just do stuff when we feel as a people, as a community, coming together. So bump Kwanzaa being these next 7 days, Kwanzaa forever. We talk about Wakanda forever, Kwanzaa forever. Because there are 7 principles that we as a people, and then I said I'm going to wrap up with the first fruits of the harvest. And I said harvest the way I said it because I want you to feel it, the harvest. Right. Because when you plant those seeds, which is those 7 seeds of that purpose, of creativity, of faith, of unity, of self-determination, responsibility, and cooperative economics, just imagine the harvest that our great-great-grandchildren would have. And I leave you, as I greeted you, in the ancient but holy words of peace, and our ancestors as Hotep, Shalom, Assalamu Alaikum, Gargani, Alafia, and Ashe. Thank you.